What are we even doing here? Oh, my mother-in-law, because she knows that me and her kid love Star Trek so much. Do 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 do. Oh wait, this is some Star Trek Deep Space Nine trading cards that she found at a yard sale, I guess. And since she knows we like all this stuff, she sent it to us. And it's not been opened, and it's like, ugh, 25 years old, which means whatever you want it to mean. But I thought I'd open it up and see what we got, and maybe we'll reminisce about Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine, you know, before like Discovery was not my Star Trek, you know, Deep Space Nine would not be your Star Trek. You know what I mean? Got a little cereal. Not everybody is like super cool Federation, Starfleet, you know, lots of weird stuff happens. What's going on? Whoa. Okay. Shoot, this stuff is pretty well protected. Cool box. Yeah, I didn't watch so much Deep Space Nine in its original run. I think I just got, you know, I just couldn't be bothered to show up. Okay, so, gee whiz, so it's only 150,000 complete sets. May 1993. I would have been 11 years old, so. What do we got here? These are all like kind of chromy. On the edge of the galaxy. Look, there's the D. She's docked at Deep Space Nine. This is like the, I don't know, they show the Enterprise a little bit at the beginning of the show. Okay, cool. Here's another hologram card. It waits. And they've got these little like space shuttles on the show. They're called runabouts. Once they're inside the wormhole, Commander Sisko and Lieutenant Dax are buffeted by turbulence as the ship is drawn through the wormhole. Whatever. Okay. So it's like they're talking about discovering the wormhole. So Deep Space Nine is a space station, and it's parked next to a wormhole, which is like a way that you get into the Gamma Quadrant of the galaxy, which is, I don't know, meaningful because you see a bunch of stuff that you never saw before in Star Trek. And, you know, I don't know, Deep Space Nine is cool. You get to know some Cardassians, some Bajorans. They seem to have a lot of like these kind of like, okay, well, here's a card about the cards. An incredible 100 card series, beaming to retail, fall '93. I fucking love Star Trek. Okay, whatever. So, what do we got? Here's like a checklist of cards. These trading cards used to do like this. Do they still do trading cards? I don't know. I was kind of hoping I'd find a 25-year-old piece of bubble gum inside of this box, but no luck. Here we go. Here's Commander Sisko and his boy. They're like, you know, oh, okay, this is card 47. So we're just like in the middle of some story here. They must be talking about some episode, whatever. The Jake kid here, he kind of grows up. He's sort of the Wesley Crusher of Deep Space Nine. And he's pretty good, man. He gets some good episodes. People don't hate on him the way they hated on Wil Wheaton, you know. Sisko lends a hand. What's this about? To his crew's astonishment and to the Cardassians' embarrassment, Commander Sisko tows Gul Dukat's ship out of the wormhole. Okay, whatever. Gul Dukat's like the main bad guy that sort of recurs on Deep Space Nine. He's a Cardassian. He's like just great. This guy, Mark Alimo, plays him, and he's super good. That's my favorite thing about Deep Space Nine on the whole is you get to learn about the Cardassians. You learn more about the Cardassians in Deep Space Nine than I think you learn about any alien race in any Star Trek, you know? Cool. All right, here's one of Deep Space Nine getting hit by an explosion or something. Okay. I wonder what, these are like, I don't know what season they produced these. These must be like in the first season of Deep Space Nine. It seems like these are just stills from the episode. I mean, I don't really remember proper nouns from these shows. So like, for instance, Gul Jasad, I don't know him. I know Gul Dukat, I know this other Cardassian, Damar. You know, I know a couple of these guys, but I can't really tell you too much about anybody else. All of these pictures just have the space station on it. Okay, whatever. Okay. Series premiere collector set. So this must really have to do with the beginning of the first season. You see some Cardassian ships here. They're pretty cool. Like I said, Deep Space Nine was supposed to like tackle some darker stuff. That's why people like, that's one of the reasons why people say they like it. Because it's like, you know, Commander Sisko has to make tough decisions because they're in a real bad war with some bad aliens they meet out in the Gamma Quadrant. And this is the sort of the hairdo I don't like on Nana Visitor in the first season. I think she shows up in season 2 with this cute, you know, pixie cut or something, you know? What do we got? Here's another Cardassian. See, they're this sort of reptilian looking fellers. What wormhole? Yeah, okay. I'm not gonna read the back of these so much, just, you know, as much as I'd like to. Some more Cardassian ships. There's more runabout. Okay. Cardassians enter the wormhole. Cool. Okay, baseball is a theme in Deep Space Nine. Commander Sisko loves baseball. He keeps a little baseball on his desk. And sometimes they have a, you know, a holodeck episode where they have to play baseball. One time they play baseball against a ship full of Vulcans. It's like a Federation starship, but it's crewed full of Vulcans for some reason. And, you know, Vulcans are pretty good at baseball because they're, you know, way juiced and very logical, you know? I can't remember if they win. It's one of the nice one-off episodes that's later in the series when it kind of goes serial and you're like, ugh. You're just tired of this big war plot that they get into. Part of his existence. This is Sisko with his wife, Jennifer. Jennifer, the first thing you see at the beginning of Deep Space Nine is Jennifer getting waxed by the Borg, you know? So it's like Sisko was there at the Battle of, what is it, Wolf 359 or whatever we got, you know, when this feller was, what do you call it? Assimilated by the Borg, and then Patrick Stewart, Captain Picard comes to Deep Space Nine kind of in the beginning, and he's like, whatever Federation stuff or whatever, and Sisko is like, you're a dickweed because, I don't know, because, you know, I hate you because of the Borg and my wife's dead. I mean, what can you do? I mean, you can't please everybody, huh? Captain? Dukat refuses to listen. Sure he does. You can see him. Oh, he's great, this guy. Love him. Love his little slick back haircut. He's great. He's got a little, Cardassians have this little, like, spoon-shaped ridge on their head. And I guess that's a slur that Federation people have for Cardassians because they were like, they like fought with them in a war or something. I think they call them spoonheads or something. It's like, doesn't sound nice. Another, what do we got? Runabout? Okay. Sure. Squeedly D, Gold Dukat. Yeah. So I listen to all these Star Trek podcasts, and the two that I listen to the most, there's one called Mission Log, and they go through every single episode. They've gone through every single episode since the first episode, the pilot of the original series, all the movies, the animated series, Next Generation. Now they're doing Deep Space Nine. They're in Deep Space Nine. And then there's other one called The Greatest Generation. They're doing Deep Space Nine right now too. I like Deep Space Nine fine. It's just tough because Next Gen, it's, you know, procedural, I guess. There's not much. Every episode, the slate is clean. It's not like this continuing story. Deep Space Nine gets into this sort of serial thing. It's more like modern television, even though it still looks like a 90s, you know, TV show. And it's hard to rewatch like the later parts of the show because it just seems like it's a can of worms. Like, oh, well, I don't want to get sucked into the whole serial thing, you know, whereas Next Gen, it's like, well, I want to watch the one where, you know, Worf gets hurt real bad, or I want to watch, you know, the one where Data finds his brother. You know, it's every Next Gen episode is like the one where, and that's how people communicate about it. Whereas like Deep Space Nine, even though they do have those like nice like one-offs where like the story is really its own thing per episode, a lot of it just gets in my head, just gets mushed into this whole war they get into with these, you know, these shapeshifters that they find in the Gamma Quadrant, you know, firing the thrusters. So this is what happens. Originally, Deep Space Nine is not like next to this wormhole, which is the passage to the Gamma Quadrant, and they move it there for some reason. To, you know, it seems like a good idea. All these are all like the same sort of picture. Cool. Here's Lieutenant Dax. She's a Trill. Trill are like, they have this other, they're like these people from this planet where everybody's like, oh, if I'm, you know, a super straight A student, I get to have this kind of bug put inside me, and you know, I'll get the, and like this bug's been inside like a bunch of people over generations. So like when this lady dies, they're gonna take the bug out of her and put it into somebody else, and then that person will remember everything she remembers and like have the experience of like generations of lives before that. It's kind of a neat thing. It was like a alien they first introduced in The Next Generation, and you know, they kind of refined the whole thing and expanded upon it in Deep Space Nine. Or DS9, we say DS9. I keep saying Deep Space Nine, but you know, whatever. Runabout emerges. Oh, okay, whatever. Galactic Light Show. Yeah. The wormhole appears. These are all kind of, you know, the same here visually. There's like a series of next gen cards where it's like some artist has done a picture that's kind of an sort of abstract representation of sort of the things in the episode, and you know, at first I kind of thought that was a weird thing, but like, you know, I don't know. You like to see the ideas expanded upon. Seeing just stills from the TV show. I don't know. If you were in 1993, unless you taped the shows off the air, which people did, but you'd watch an episode and then it's just in your mind. And then if you got the trading cards and you're obsessed with the show, you know, you'd really look at these, especially if you're a kid, you'd look at these and you'd pore over them and you'd think, oh, well, here's the detail. What are these tubes? And these kinds of things really like strengthen your idea of the show. And, you know, it's like the foundation for headcanon, and, you know, we say headcanon now. And it's, I don't know. It makes the experience more rich, especially when you don't have the internet to just like bounce all your ideas off of, or to soak up the ideas of other people. You can't just go on YouTube and just watch guys. I give you top 10 reasons why DS9 is the best Star Trek series. Yeah. With the transporter now working, Constable Odo is quickly beamed back to DS9, where Major Kira congratulates him on a job well done. Okay. I don't remember this happening. La la la, venting his frustration. This is Miles O'Brien, Colm Meaney. He is in Last of the Mohicans, and he's also in Next Gen. He's like, you know, who's the transporter chief on the Enterprise, and then he gets like kind of a bigger role here. And even his wife Keiko comes along for the ride at DS9. She was only in, you know, how many? A half dozen Next Gen episodes, if that, but she's like around in in DS9, you know. Whoops. Oh, here you see Odo kind of doing his T-1000 routine. It's, boy, whatever the CG they did for his shapeshift, he's a shapeshifter. The CG they did back in the 90s was pretty rudimentary, but I don't know, it gets the point across. Of course, the shapeshifting really, it begs more questions. You know, every time he does something, you're like, well, why doesn't he do this? And, you know, why doesn't he turn into a bird and fly away? Or, you know, it's like kind of like how in Next Gen, Data, he's the super strong, super fast android that can calculate anything in his brain, and it kind of makes a lot of like peril in the show. It would make a lot of peril in the show moot, you know, if you really just, you know, leaned on how powerful this android is every single time. And Odo kind of is also sort of a logic breaker in that sense. Yeah, is this Gul Dukat? Does it kind of look like, yeah, it's Gul Dukat. Gul Dukat used to be the boss of DS9. DS9 was a Cardassian space station, and like at the end, they had like occupied this planet called Bajor, where this lady's from, and at the end of that war, I guess they decided to give the space station to Bajor because they couldn't like move the space station back to Cardassia Prime. So they gave it to Bajor, and Bajor, since they were kind of a hot mess, they were like, oh, hey, Federation, even though Bajor isn't a Federation planet, will you come and help us like take care of this place? So they they have Commander Sisko come in with like, you know, Miles and all their friends, and Kira is kind of like the top Bajoran in charge. I don't know, you know what? Even though Deep Space Nine gets kind of tedious towards the end, they really try to wrap things up in the 7th season. Just the whole setup and the whole like geopolitical situation is, I don't know, there's a lot there, you know? Sisko used to be friends with the last, what do you call it? Oh, what do you call it? Host of the Trill that lives inside this lady, you know? Yeah. So this, and the last host used to be like some Klingon, and I think, yeah, Curzon Dax. This guy is called Jadzia Dax, and it was kind of an old Klingon. So Sisko, I guess, kind of knew this guy when he was a younger dude, and they had a lot of fun. And Sisko always calls Jadzia Old Man because he remembers the Dax creature as this old Klingon, you know. And she can really, just see how compelling this stuff is for me. You know, there's a lot of problems with this show. Even though Next Gen is my favorite, you know, there's a lot of problems with it. But I just forgive it so much. And I guess that's nostalgia talking, guys, you know? It's the kind of pass that you give to things that you really like, that you don't give to stuff that happens like later in life, you know? It's like why, you know, it's like why I can't get into the new Star Wars movies, or, you know, I couldn't get into like Voyager, another later Star Trek episodes, the one after this one, or Enterprise. Never watched any Enterprise. I like watched a couple, and I've given Discovery a shot, and I like it. But you know, it's just another TV show. You know, I mean, it's something. I don't watch a lot of TV shows. I only watch YouTube for the most part. You know, discussing Bajor's future. This is a cute little tank top that Kira wears a lot. You know, it's like one of the 3 things that you see her wear. What's up? See, here's my my dude and Sisko having a little chat, and yeah, Wolf 359. Yeah, Commander Sisko reluctantly sits through a mission briefing given to him by ooh, they missed like the word 2 there. Okay, whatever, doesn't matter. Squeedly D. Yeah. Confronted with Sisko's hostility, Picard wonders if Starfleet may have chosen the wrong man to command the station. You know what? His Jennifer died in the Borg battle, so cut him some slack. This guy that plays Commander Sisko, what's his name? Can't remember off the top of my head. He's so good. He's so good, man. He's like probably, after Picard, he's my favorite guy, you know? So it kind of goes Picard, Sisko, Kirk. I love Kirk, but it's almost like Kirk only did 3 seasons and a handful of movies. So there's not this huge fabric that you have with Picard and Sisko, you know? Let's see, okay, all right. Well, that was nice, you know? Maybe I'll fall asleep to an episode of DS9 tonight, you know? I can't, in good conscience, suggest that somebody who doesn't know Star Trek very well, like just go out and watch Deep Space Nine. It's not something that's gonna really grab a viewer that's used to contemporary prestige television. But if you've got like some kind of 90s kink, then maybe it's worth giving DS9 a try, especially if you've liked Next Gen but wish there was more of a evolving story, because it has got this sort of big world that doesn't tend to reset itself every episode the way that Next Gen did. So, they tried some new things, and I regard it as the second most successful Star Trek series, If anybody wants to get some minty DS9 cards, just hit me up in the comments. Okay, bye-bye.